That's all I know of that song, and it's literally just like going from two notes. But oh my god, everybody, we are in apocalypse over in Michigan.
Yeah, it's bad.
Dude, I don't have a porch right now. My porch is gone.
Yeah, I'm on like a second floor, and my balcony still has 5 inches of snow on it.
Oh, fuck
And there's
that.
holes in it. The snow should just fall down.
This is the price we pay for like the 3 good weeks of spring we get.
I'll be honest though, I'm kind of a sicko, and I kind of like it.
You know, when the county roads commission like clears the roads, it's perfect, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and realistically, this is about as good of an opportunity as it's going to get for weather like this because it happens on a Friday night, which sucks because people have to move around. Maybe you have to either drive through it or leave work early or some shit, which sucks. But then it's the weekend. You just stay in. You got Saturday to just fuck around all day. We're in Michigan, so the Lions are playing tonight, so no one's gonna fucking go out anyways.
Uh I don't care about the Lions.
Yeah, but I mean, I just mean generally, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
shit to do.
There's shit to do.
Um, and then hopefully, that gives the road commissions like a good 48 hours to get out, scrape everything off to get caught up again. And, it could be a lot worse. If it was in like the middle of the week, that would be a lot worse. That would suck.
Uh Underrated opinion right here, right?
Mm.
Road commissions are up there with firefighters in terms of like
Hmm.
public services that don't get enough attention.
Absolutely. Especially with how many, like, and the same thing with firefighters, right? So much of the people who work for them, especially in the winter, are like semi volunteer.
Yeah, dude.
I knew a guy, I had a friend back in like elementary school whose dad was a volunteer for the local road commission. And it would be like, yeah, a day like this, he's getting called up at like 5 p.m. to work basically an impromptu second job where he's just plowing all night all over the county.
Yeah. Do they even get paid for that?
I believe so,
Okay.
but not like a regular salary. It's like on call kind of stuff.
Yeah, but still, it's like,
But it's a lot of work, right? Because you're out there, like, not just, being out in this shitty cold weather, but you're driving in it for hours and hours, and you got to keep awake and alert.
my stepfather ran
Sucks.
a small snowplow business,
Mm-hmm.
which snowplow businesses, even though they're like a private service, it's giving your business priority while the county does
Yeah,
their job. Um,
right. Because no, especially if you have like a parking lot,
yeah.
county's not going to do that for you.
Oh hell no, they're not. Uh, to me, I remember like a lot of the times he would like get calls in to like come shovel or like plow at like 3 a.m. So I
Mm-hmm.
imagine those like doing that in a timely manner in the dead of fucking night
Yep.
definitely plays a larger part of it as well. So salute to the road commission,
Mm-hmm.
mainly my road commission because they're doing me more of a service.
Yeah, they get a lot of shit, but they still put in a lot of work.
They do, they do, they do. Now let's
All
wait
right.
for like the eventual politicians to say, "Do we really need this service?"
God. Well, funny you say that because we had some good stories this week out of the IRS.
The IRS, the Internal Revenue System,
Yeah.
service.
IRS collected 360 million more dollars in taxes this year from tax avoidance of people making more than $1 million this year than it did in prior years. And would you know it, Republicans in Congress want to cut their funding. In part because they still haven't figured out the funding stuff from back in like October and November.
It's a very long time to be waiting on the funding shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find like the exact numbers, but I heard yesterday there was like rumors of a tentative like short-term funding agreement again, like the same thing. Like, yeah, we're not gonna pass an actual budget, but we'll make sure that the government doesn't close for the next 8 weeks
Is this just what we're going to be at? Just
until either party manages to get a majority in Congress. Probably.
god damn it. Election year, everybody. Remember that. You can't see if I'm doing a little dance trying to spur the happiness I feel about politics. Aren't you just so happy about politics, Kyril?
Congressional leaders reach agreement to keep government funded into March.
That means yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
He dived right back into politics.
Yeah. It sucks. And it's super frustrating, right? The IRS, everybody hates them, and like justifiably so, but they never have the funding to do their job. And the funding that goes to them always turns a profit.
It's what was it? Wasn't there like an
Hmm.
equation that showed like how much of a return you get
Yeah.
on investment from the IRS?
It's been a while since I've looked into it, but from what I remember, it used to be something like for every dollar the IRS gets in funding, they return at least $2 back,
Yeah.
which is wild.
You know,
Like
if
you can't get numbers like that literally anywhere else in the world unless you're committing actual theft.
yeah. You know, if I was a stable business genius, I'd like those numbers. How was your week, Mr. Kyril?
It's been all right.
Yeah,
Busy, but I can't complain too much. The weather on Friday sucked having to drive home through that, but it's been going all right.
that's cool.
Mhm. Busy, busy early days in the year. How's things been with you?
Pretty all right. You know, I had a really good laugh the other day when I saw that M Live article I sent you.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about that? Because like,
I would love to.
seeing how we were just in pure Michigan mode, I feel like we should emphasize why Michigan's pretty cool right now.
It is stunning.
Ladies and gentlemen, will the real GOP of Michigan please stand up?
Yeah. We talked about this a bit last week, where the former head, I say, how do you, the courts will have to decide that. The person who was last elected to be the head of the Michigan Republican Party in an emergency meeting earlier this year, a vote was held to remove them from that position.
Yay!
And we all laughed about it because they were brought into that position initially as a massive election denier. And in the wake of them being voted out of their position, they kept right in pace and denied the results of that election. Everybody laughed about it because it was very funny, and it still is. And
And
then the follow up to that is that they have gone so far now that the Michigan GOP has gone through like an honest to God schism where they have two completely separate uh, leadership groups claiming to both be legitimate. And it's kind of amazing. There's
it's
now two Michigan Republican parties,
my
and the
favorite.
primaries are coming up very soon.
My favorite detail about this, right?
Yeah.
In the M Live article I sent on this, they
Yep.
even have competing websites at the moment. There's migop.org, and then there's
Yep.
mi-gop.org.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to look those up real quick.
Which is very funny because it's, stupid, but also because neither group at any point decided to like take the barest minimum step to secure their very specific domain. That's
Oh
like
my
101
god.
is try to get anything that looks vaguely similar to your domain because people will try to steal that and use it for their own good, whether
Uh,
to scam your own people or just make you look bad.
dude, can you just
Yeah.
type in MO? Oh, wait, sorry.
Which one? I can just pull them both up here.
Yeah, pull them up because the one that is gone crazy,
Yep.
you can identify right away.
Is it the one with Lincoln on it?
The one with Lincoln, Reagan, and Donald Trump, and I'm pretty sure that Reagan one is AI generated.
Oh, I actually think that's the legitimate one though.
Is that the
Like,
legitimate one?
so just from skimming it, um, the MI hyphen GOP has notice in here from interim chair Melinda Pego talking about how they removed the previous chair. So but like from I guess which one is the legitimate one, right? That's the question that the courts are going to decide, and why this is especially funny is that they have to have some sort of a court case here to determine whether the meeting that was held to remove the previous chair was legitimate or not. And even the RNC is just like not touching this at all.
Dude, I'm so confused now. I'm I'm glad I'm not registered with this party.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a rush job. This is absolutely wild. I think that Lincoln's also AI
Wow.
generated. What's up?
Probably. The MI-GOP one is like it's
Nothing.
just a very bad website.
Yeah.
They clearly just wanted to post this notice of this meeting, and yeah, they had an 88% vote to remove the prior chair, which seems, pretty definitive, but the like actual Michigan GOP party is kind of just scary.
The yeah, the normal one? The normal looking
Yeah,
one? Yeah,
like the official one
without the hyphen.
without the hyphen. Yeah,
Isn't it weird? It's like
it's like
uncanny
just
valley.
pure fear mongering. Talking about what Michigan has a wait, what is this?
I'm looking for a subject line that says plans to kidnap the governor.
Man, let's just read some of this, right? Because this is absolutely unhinged. This is the first thing on their website, right?
Yo,
You have the Michigan Republican Party logo, a header page with different links to their things. And then in bigger font than their header piece there, a big donate button.
I do
There's a
like the donate
notice.
button.
Yeah, there's a notice about a now no longer upcoming meeting. This meeting would have already happened, but I guess it's Sunday. None of them were working, so the notice is still there. And then it goes right into fear mongering. It says, for more than 50 years, Michigan has experienced the destruction caused by a one sided relationship with countries hostile to our values. Our brightest organizations have had their intellectual property stolen. Our meaningful jobs have been outsourced, tearing apart our communities and families. Now we face a new generation of threats. Our kids are being controlled by influential spy technology, turning our future against themselves. Our food sources and land are being purchased out from under us, putting our greatest asset, fresh water, in danger.
Fucking what?
Not a scrap of irony to realize what governments were in power when those happened for more than 50 years. Like who do you want to guess was president when the auto companies started shipping their operations overseas?
Ooh, ooh, I know. Mr.
Mm,
Chiral, please pick
you
me.
you in the front.
Me in the front. Oh my god. I never thought I would get this far. Reagan?
Sounds like a good guess to me.
I'm actually looking that up now.
I imagine it is Reagan. Like
Nixon. It's fucking Nixon.
it's Reagan, it's Nixon, it's the usual suspects. It's the shit that you expect. And this is also the exact, very typical kind of thing, devoid of any semblance of context, right? Because for every auto company that has shifted their operations overseas, which has of course happened, we have European automakers manufacturing in huge numbers in the U.S. Not in Michigan, granted, but BMW and Mercedes-Benz have massive operations in the Carolinas. Toyota and Honda have massive operations in the Midwest still in Ohio. So it's not like nothing has happened in these industries. And then they go right into fear mongering. Our kids are being controlled by influential spy technology. Maybe you, as the parent, should do something about that. But of course, they don't mean their children being on tablets and smartphones for 18 hours of their waking day. They
No.
mean the schools. It's the schools that are doing it. It's those textbooks. It's definitely not because my kid watches 5 hours of YouTube every day before when he gets home from school.
Little Jimmy
Because I don't
started
want to
watching
parent.
Jordan Peterson videos. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with him.
it's those damn textbooks teaching them about evolution.
They said the Civil War was about the abolition of slavery and not states' rights. Not in my household.
And there's also just like blatantly just wrong stuff. Our food sources and land are being purchased out from under us. Okay, yeah, sure, but the food is still almost entirely going to the same places it was going before. The US is a major economic power because we have a shitload of land to grow, crops on and then export it. Also,
Yo,
if the Republicans are so fucking concerned about foreign entities purchasing up American land, they should do something about that.
no. Bad for
I don't think
business.
any of the actual people, like, ignore the Democratic politicians. The actual Democratic voters would love that.
I love their like brackets for donations.
Yeah.
It goes from 200, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, $25,
Yep.
$50, 100, $1,000, and then $10,000.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
We're just getting started, I'm sure you are.
Where are they getting started?
I don't care. But I wanted to mention, before I get rid of off of this horrible site and cleared out of my browsing history, that is the like first third of their website. The second, or I guess the top quarter, the second quarter is about stopping the march of global authoritarianism, which is just anti-China crap.
Yeah.
You know, uh, globalist organizations have abandoned Detroit and the working class, which is like, I find that particularly funny because anybody who's been to Detroit recently and also in the last 20 years will overwhelmingly tell you that Detroit is in the upswing.
You know, what I love, and this is like a Michigan thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like a litmus test in Michigan to tell like where you sit based off your opinion of Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is great. On the current path, Michigan will become the global headquarters for communist influence and power and drive Michigan into a deeper depression.
We're in depression?
I wouldn't know it. Communist influence.
Yeah, dude.
Amazing.
Wait, who's
I
the
do kind of
communist?
China
Oh, duh.
because there's so many Chinese cars on the roads.
Yeah, of course. Not like a good old American made Tesla.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video of the dude holding like a carrot to like the self-closing like hatch of a Cybertruck?
No.
Oh, dude, it is disturbing because like
Does it just completely cut it in half?
like dude, clean, no bit of carrot left. Carrot did not stand a fucking chance,
Good old stainless steel.
dude. Seriously,
I'm gonna look this up. I bet I can find if I just Google Cybertruck carrot.
Cyber.
Oh, no, I don't want to watch like a whole video. Here we go. All right, Snapchat, show me this.
Yeah, that's the video too.
Oh, that's bad. It doesn't even like break it, it just cuts a huge chunk out of it.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man, that's worse than I expected. I thought they would just like have it like be in there a little bit, but that's much more realistic where it's just like a little bit in there. That's uncomfortable.
I love how it gets so deep into the carrot that it's like a different shade of color like in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, it's just like a clean wedge. It's
Yeah.
just a chunk.
And now that trunk is never going to like like close properly ever again cuz it's a Tesla.
Hopefully. I'll be really interested to see, over the next like 2 years or so, how Tesla's sales go. Because I've been seeing, it's, Reddit and social media and stuff. So
Yeah.
always have to take it with a grain of salt because it's going to be pretty biased. But I've seen in discussion on like EV forums a very noticeable and stark change in attitude toward not just Tesla, but Tesla as a result of Elon Musk in general. Um, Especially in non-American markets, because apparently, and you want to talk about China threatening American companies, Chinese electric vehicle companies have started to have pretty substantial market penetration in Europe and Australia
That
because
really doesn't
they can,
surprise me.
yeah, they're able to make an electric car that is like just an electric car, none of the fancy tech or anything like that. So they're able to just undercut people like Tesla and Ford with the, practically like luxury prices that they're asking for their EVs by a huge chunk.
I think that's really the dumbest thing about like the American electric car market right now
Mm-hmm.
is that they're trying to make it look cool as a luxury item instead
Yeah,
of getting to the brass tacks like pragmatic why you should buy this.
right. Let's talk for a little bit on the updates of Trump's legal woes. Mostly because it's funny.
I think woes is a bit of an understatement, but go on.
Yeah, yeah, probably. Uh, Starting off the roundup, Trump was ordered to pay $400,000 to the New York Times for his failure to prove defamation in a defamation case that he filed against the Times for their coverage of his tax returns.
Ooh.
So Donnie is going to be down about a half million from that, which is, not a ton. When you have people like Rudy Giuliani who we're finding out are already tens of millions of dollars in debt secretly, wouldn't surprise me if right, eventually we're going to learn that that's also the case with Trump.
I don't
We're going to
think.
find out
Oh, so, go
that
on.
he's leveraged like hundreds of millions of dollars of debt with his properties or something like that.
He's going to be in a little bit more than debt, I feel. Like,
Yeah. I think there's a really interesting example to see out of the caliber of his lawyers, right? Because there are some extremely prestigious law firms in the US that do not care what you as a client have done. If you have the money, they will represent you and they'll do a good job of doing it.
oh, definitely.
And the fact that Trump doesn't have those, he's having to rely on his fellow grifters and con men, is uh, not a good sign.
Well, like, don't like most agent like lawyers in general also get like an insurance policy on themselves and their clients for like legal.
I don't know. Wouldn't
No,
surprise me.
I'm just saying what I know. Um, they have like a malpractice like
Mm-hmm.
insurance, and I
Yes.
guarantee any malpractice insurance company that sees like an agency took Trump into their like
Mm-hmm.
clients is immediately going to start raising premiums up the wazoo.
Could be.
Yeah.
Definitely could be. In the other bits we had here, let's save that one for last because that's we'll work up,
Work
right?
up.
Um, we had a really good piece out of Georgia this week where Trump's lawyers argued in a defense of immunity again because that's worked so many other times, saying This is a quote from their filing. From 1789 to 2023, no president ever faced criminal prosecution for acts committed while in office. That unbroken historic tradition of presidential immunity is rooted in the separation of powers and the text of the Constitution. Don't look at Nixon too hard.
I don't like looking at Nixon in general, but go on.
Yeah. Uh, Never mind, because Ford gave him a full pardon for quote any offenses he has committed or may have committed. Awful convenient. And then there's also the fact that no one else has done what Trump has attempted to do with his rampant illegality.
Illegality.
We also had Trump good back and forth this week, made for some nice headlines where Trump both did and did not want to give remarks in closing statements of the case before Judge Engoron, I believe in New York. Um, Engoron denied, or did not grant permission for Trump to speak during the closing statements, but Trump went ahead and did that anyways. Engoron instructed Hayes, Trump's lawyers, to please control your client, and when he did not, uh, accusing the justice of going after Trump for political gain, including an allegedly failed run for governor, Engoron dismissed them from the court entirely.
Oof. Did you see those emails I sent you that were between Trump's lawyers and Engoron?
Yes. And I skimmed them, but only briefly because it was like, ooh, this is going to be a lot to go through. But yeah, that's all part of this, where it's just like
I,
wild to read.
there is a lot going on in those emails, and they are worth a chuckle. I won't say they are probably the best for the show, but I will say a running theme in those emails, which I think is fucking wild, is Trump's fucking lawyers refusing to capitalize any of their emails.
Yeah.
Wild.
We can go through a little bit of this because some of this is going to come up here in a second. All right.
Yo.
So Chris Keyes, Trump's lawyer, responding to Arthur Engoron, the justice involved in this. Justice Engoron, despite the fact that his mother-in-law, he was very close to, passed away late last night, President Trump will be speaking tomorrow, respectfully. And then Engoron in response, as I've already indicated to you, if Trump wishes to speak pursuant to the legal code, you will have to tell me now that he will agree to the limitations I have imposed, which will go without saying and apply to everyone, and he'll have to agree to do so tomorrow on the record, which should take no more than a minute or two. Response from Keyes. Justice Engoron, this is very unfair, Your Honor. You are not allowing President Trump, who has been wrongfully demeaned and belittled by an out of control, politically motivated attorney general, to speak about the things that must be spoken about. Engoron's response. Dear Mr. Keyes, I will not debate this again. Take it or leave it, now or never. You have until noon, 7 minutes from now. I will not grant any further extensions. All caps. Justice Engoron.
Slay.
Another one. Dear Keyes, not having heard from you by the third extended deadline, due today, I assume that Mr. Trump will not agree to the reasonable, lawful limits I have imposed as a precondition to giving a closing statement above and beyond those given by his attorneys, and that, therefore, he will not be speaking in court tomorrow. As previously indicated, this email change will docket on NYS-CEF to preserve your appellate rights. Justice Engoron. And then Trump went and spoke anyways in violation of that directly, and we'll have to see what happens. That should be like open and shut contempt of court kind of shit.
Yeah.
But it's Trump, so probably not.
I mean, the day he gets past like that little bit of like money that's still holding him to the upper class, I'm very excited to see how things change out for him.
Yeah. We also had the good bit in there because this has been going around this week about Trump's mother-in-law's funeral. And that was all happening because he brought that up in more than one court case this week. They tried to make the same claim that Trump was unable to be in New York to participate in the case for the rape defamation civil suit and the appeals that are ongoing with that. Making the same claim that his mother-in-law passed away, he has to attend the funeral, and as part of that case, people noticed that he also had a not a court, excuse me, a political speech scheduled for the same day as his mother-in-law's funeral.
Ooh, spicy.
So that kind of shot that down because it was like, well, if you have time to make a political appearance, you have time to be in court too.
I argue it's much harder, sorry, to make it to court on time than to give a political speech. Granted, I've never
Probably,
been sued.
but the court doesn't really care about that.
Damn.
All right. And our last two nuggets here.
Yo.
We found out this week, or we didn't find out, I guess. We had Trump claim this week that his election crimes case be dropped because nobody told him that overturning the election was a crime.
How did you get that through this whole week without me reading that? That's something I should have read.
Let me find this. In a filing to the Fulton County Superior Court, Trump's attorney argued Trump lacked fair notice that his conduct could be considered criminal. This is a pretty long one, but I'm just going to go through it here.
Yeah.
Our country has a long-standing tradition of forceful political advocacy regarding widespread allegations of fraud and irregularities in a long list of presidential elections throughout our history. Therefore, President Trump lacked fair notice that his advocacy in the instance of the 2020 presidential election could be criminalized. President Trump, like all citizens, is entitled to have fair warning as to where the line is drawn which separates permissible activity from that which is allegedly criminal. Then quotes former case, no man shall be held criminally responsible for conduct which he could not reasonably understand to be prescribed. Goes on, due process bars courts from applying a novel construction of a criminal statute to conduct that neither the statute nor any prior judicial decision has fairly disclosed to be within its scope. And then further, a statute or a rule may be held constitutionally invalid as applied when it operates to deprive an individual of a protected right, though its general validity as a measure enacted in the legitimate exercise of state power is beyond question. And then they go on and on and on with like five other equally unbelievably wrong uh, applications of prior law, but that's the gist of it. And comes down to the idea that because nobody told him that this would be a crime, it can't be. Never mind the fact that we have dozens of records with communication between Trump and his lawyers and his advisors that seem to imply to the contrary.
I love
We also
how.
have,
Sorry.
I was going to say, we also have the guilty pleas from his own lawyers admitting to the fact that they would have known this was criminal activity.
I love the Donnie situation, right? Because in a way, he always like goes from I'm completely innocent and the hero of the story to I'm completely innocent and I'm just a misguided soul of the story. And he just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of devolves like from season 1 Breaking Bad Walter White to season 5 with every single one of his like I'm innocent because of this ways. Like the de-evolution is just amazing to me. As he just casually peels back the onion and revealing all the layers he's guilty. And he knows he's
Mm-hmm.
guilty.
And then our last, but certainly not least, little bit of this roundup here. The Democratic lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee released a report this week. Released a report last week detailing Trump's businesses having received at least $7.8 million in foreign payments during his presidency. Trump responded to these criticisms this week during a town hall, I believe on Fox News. Quote, that's a small amount of money. You know, it sounds like a lot of money. That's small. I was doing services for them. People were staying in these massive hotels, these beautiful hotels. I don't get $8 million for doing nothing. According to the report from the Democrats, this is Business Insider is reporting on it, Trump's business received payments from at least 20 countries while he was in office. Foreign governments and government-controlled entities had made payments to Trump hotels in both Washington, Vegas, and New York. Countries included in these payments involved the Republic of China, Saudi Arabia, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, among many others.
Mr. Cairo, question.
Yes.
Isn't it a little weird that a president would get payments to his private business while he's in a position of power by foreign countries?
A normal president would have disposed himself of any control over those companies during his presidency, and it wouldn't be weird. But Trump didn't. So, yes, it's very weird.
Doesn't that make all of his actions potential business transactions?
Yeah, pretty much. And there's also the question of whether, like, you can go into it, right? And you can see, do the prices make sense for these stays?
Yeah.
And when these records have been looked at in the past, the answer seems to be no. These foreign countries seem to be weirdly overpaying for staying at Trump's resorts. Who would have guessed?
Maybe it's like a tip, you know? They're just really, really
Yeah.
impressed by his work in running those businesses.
So potential more legal, uh, and in this case, potentially criminal problems on the horizon. Because, it sure sounds a lot like bribery or quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo. uh,
Do you want to talk about Hunter Biden?
oh, can we please? Like,
Yeah.
because didn't Marjorie show his ass
Where?
again in Congress and like people walked out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that's not why people walked out, though.
Oh, never mind then.
That did happen, but people walked out for an even better reason. I'm trying to pull up something here. Well,
Because,
whatever. I read enough about it. The gist of it, right?
yo,
Prior information. The House Republicans have issued a subpoena to Hunter Biden to testify to them in Congress. Biden and his lawyers said they would comply, but only if the testimony was conducted in public, because they do not trust the House Republicans to report on his statements truthfully. The House Republicans denied that condition, saying that they would only do it if he first gave the testimony in private, and then they would allow it in a public court. And he refused to agree with that stipulation of the subpoena. Multiple other House Republicans have already been subpoenaed by the DOJ in relation to things like January 6th, and have refused to comply with those subpoenas as part of other congressional investigations. So the idea that somebody would be committing some specific crime by not committing with a congressional subpoena specifically is already in kind of murky waters as to whether that's illegal or not.
yeah.
Whether the House has the teeth to back up these subpoenas with any sort of action. On the day of the House committee's continued investigation into Hunter Biden and his lawyers showed up in public to the uh, congressional meeting
Okay.
because it's a public thing; anybody can appear.
Yeah.
The Republicans were not aware that this was going to be happening. The
Ooh.
Democrats, who were also on that board, seeing that Hunter Biden was there, insisted that the Republicans, conduct whatever questioning they wanted to do of him at that time, because they're perfectly within their powers to bring him up to the stand, put him under oath, and start questioning him about whatever they wanted to do. The House Republicans refused to. So now you have the House Republicans holding a congressional investigation panel into Hunter Biden, where they have subpoenaed Hunter Biden to appear before them in Congress. Hunter Biden is sitting before them in Congress, having previously said he was open to answering any and all questions they would have, and they then choose not to question him.
It's like homie
And
took away. Sorry. Oh,
the cherry on top
yeah.
is that as Marjorie Taylor Greene was called up to take the stand to present her lines of, rambling, basically, for lack of a better word, Hunter Biden and his lawyers stood up and walked out of Congress. And as they did so, every single camera in the chamber followed them out the door as his lawyers gave a statement on the steps of it. Which means, as Marjorie Taylor Greene is taking the stand, any camera held by a person, basically anything that's not like a fixed camera in the ceiling, is no longer pointed at her and is not recording her.
Homie took away their home field advantage.
Yep.
God
Completely
damn.
styled on him.
So
It was amazing.
I'm not a Hunter
Like,
Biden fan. I'm not much of a Biden fan,
yeah.
but
Oh,
I'm
I'm a fan of his lawyers because he almost certainly didn't think of that. But whoever he has for his lawyers are like actual geniuses because to both have Hunter appear at the date of what the subpoena was supposed to be,
Mhm.
and then not have him be questioned. So like legally, in a sense, you could argue he complied with the subpoena and they chose not to call him to the stand, and they made it clear during the proceedings that they did not want to call him to the stand. And then also just embarrassing the shit out of Marjorie Taylor Greene for the cherry on top. She was livid about it. And that's just funny.
we do enjoy pissing off Marjorie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I'm
No
I'm,
notes.
I'm just impressed. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how these political figures can get a good lawyer and all of a sudden their problems get a lot easier to handle.
For sure. All right. One of the last pieces of like actual news I have for us to go
Oh.
over this week. We should talk a bit about Boeing, particularly their 737 Max 9 planes that are having problems or had a problem. And as a result, the rest of the 737 Max 9 or 10, I can't recall exactly which one it was. I believe it was Max 9, but that specific model of that plane that was in that airline's company has all been grounded. And I believe other airlines have voluntarily grounded theirs of the same or similar outfitting while we wait and see what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Because on an Alaskan Airlines flight, a portion of that plane's fuselage that is known as a plug door, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It is a plug that is placed into a location of the airframe where a door could be put. Um, and Alaskan Airlines opted to not put a door there, so instead just kept it as like an emergency exit. That plug somehow failed during flight and fell off the plane, leaving, a big hole, which is it's
In a
not ideal.
pressurized cabin?
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, the pilots who were involved did, took swift action, and everybody who was on board was not injured. I believe there were some people who were treated for minor injuries. But ultimately, nobody sustained any serious injuries as a result of it, and they were able to land safely. But it's bad. It's really bad because these plug doors are meant to be designed in a way that they like physically can't fall out accidentally, like as a matter of geometry, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be beveled in a way that in order to remove them, they have to be pulled like inside the plane. They can't push out like this one did. So that's really bad. And this is, of course, coming off of the not so long ago coattails of Boeing's previous 73 MAX 8, I believe it was, plane that had problems in foreign markets, particularly I believe it was in India. There was one incident, and with an African airline where an automated safety system was applied on these planes that caused them to remove control from the pilots and send the planes into an unrecoverable dive, resulting in substantial loss of life. Two planes went down and dozens of people died on both flights. And it is once again putting Boeing into the crosshairs of like, are these people making planes that are safe? Because, once can be considered like an incident, particularly with the safety one, right?
Yeah.
There was already controversy related to that when it was first introduced, from the perspective of like, you shouldn't need this system. You should be making your planes in a way that this extra additional layer of safety software is not required. But ultimately, it was both them putting this new software on the planes that other planes don't have, that those pilots wouldn't have experienced on other planes, and the pilots involved with it being less experienced than Boeing requires with other, airlines. It was like, allegedly a perfect storm of things going wrong, resulting in these two planes going down. But Boeing has been having problems for a long time. Pretty much ever since like the early 2000s, where when they had a pretty major shake up at their like executive level that cascaded down into huge numbers of experienced engineers being either let go or forced into like early retirement positions, and a significant number of those went to Boeing's competitors. And ever since then, we've been seeing this sort of like side by side of Boeing and Airbus, where Boeing is constantly cutting costs as much as they can to maximize profits, resulting in pretty regular controversies coming out of their company, and Airbus doing the opposite and staying out of the news pretty much entirely. With the exception being when a French airline manufacturer wanted to sell one of their models in the U.S. Boeing lobbied to block those sales from happening successfully. So that airline company decided to instead just sell the licensing for that model to Airbus, an American manufacturer, to make and sell their planes in the US in their stead, which was a gigantic L for Boeing, both in the amount of legal trouble that they had, not legal trouble, but like the financial aspect of doing that lobbying,
Yeah.
and then also just giving their competitor this design pretty much for free. Now,
Yo.
I would want to, at this point, give a bit of an asterisk on this to point out that air travel in general is still one of the safest ways to travel over long distances. Any other mode of transport, barring maybe trains, is more dangerous, particularly automobiles. Cars are incredibly dangerous. And while planes going down makes tons of headlines like this, it is exceptionally rare. And we are seeing with the Alaskan Airlines incident that even when something does go basically as catastrophically wrong as it does, the plane is still in a condition that it was able to land safely and nobody was injured, let alone killed. So that's all good, right?
Yeah.
These are serious problems, but it's the kind of stuff where it's like, oh, I have a flight coming up that I've had scheduled in, for however many weeks ahead of time. I'm scared now. You shouldn't be. Your flight is almost certainly going to be as safe as it always has been, right? If you didn't have any apprehensions when you were first booking it, these should not change that. And it's hard to compartmentalize that thing because this shit's very scary, right? It's like literally nightmare stuff. But we as a society have become very complacent with certain dangers and then elevate other ones into levels that are kind of a fantasy.
Oh, you mean like fucking automobiles? Because
Yeah.
automobiles.
Cars are very dangerous and people
Yeah.
die a lot. So, as long as you're not flying like a teeny tiny little private plane, the odds of something going catastrophic, the odds of anyone even dying, like regardless if it's because of the plane or they have like a heart attack or something, are exceptionally slim. But Boeing does need to start answering for this shit. And hopefully, the news that we had this week was in the wake of that. They have had an all hands safety meeting to figure out what the fuck is happening. And hopefully, I believe in conjunction with a congressional investigation, or I guess like an FAA type investigation,
Hmm.
they'll figure out what happened because there is a chance that this was not Boeing's fault. It's pretty unlikely, but with the way that airplanes are built and manufactured, today, it's very rarely one company doing everything front to back. Airlines like Alaskan Airlines will buy the airframe from Boeing, and then work with a third party to outfit it with parts that should still be verified by Boeing that they are effective, but it could also be that that third party is cutting corners at some point and problems are arising from it. So there is still things to that we just don't know, right? And that hopefully this investigation will be able to uncover. But it's a bad look for Boeing, and they are already and have been for a while in a pretty bad position of public confidence. That goes in pretty stark contrast with their history. Um, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I found out about air flight travel recently?
What's that?
Did you know there are pilots with a speedrunning community?
I have seen that. Yes,
That's fucking charming.
it is. It's very cool. It's kind of it's nice too because like if that's your pilot, you're getting to your spot early. That's awesome. As
Also
long as
makes
they're
me,
not being like unsafe, of course.
yeah, as long as they're doing glitchless runs, I'm cool.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, we're gonna speed run from Texas to LAX by cutting out as much fuel as possible. We're gonna be coasting as we land.
I'm sorry, guys. A fucking photon from the stars has interacted with our systems too hard, and we're all going to be in a glitchy mess for the next several minutes. Hope we get this
We
right.
were supposed to be at 4,000 feet, but all of a sudden we were at 14,000 feet. Sorry.
Did you ever hear about that Super Mario 64 photon story?
Yeah,
Fucking love it. It's my favorite story
it's
in all of
really good.
speedrunning.
Apt because AGDQ is happening right now.
Oh, anything good in AGQ? It,
I'm I very rarely watch it live, but I do. I did hear there was some good indie stuff and awful games type stuff that's going to be happening. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on the YouTube uploads when those come around later.
you know, an observation I just got the other day, right?
What's that?
Indie games have slowed down a bit.
Steam would disagree with you.
Really, because I have not seen any good like
Yeah.
indie. Like it used to be like I felt like indie games were all over the place, triple like fighting with AAA stuff.
Yeah,
But
that is probably partly true. Where maybe certain indie games are less competitive as like a class, but it's kind of weird place right now because on Steam they report every year the total number of games released on the platform,
yeah,
and year over year it's continuing to go up by huge numbers, right? This year in particular though has a bit of an asterisk next to it because there's tons of like text-based games that were getting spit out constantly by AI that are incredibly low effort and usually not worth the money, almost exclusively not worth the money.
yeah.
um, but on the other hand, the like counter argument to that, right, is Baldur's Gate 3 is technically an independent game.
Is it?
Yeah, Larian Studios does not have a producer that they work with. They are entirely privately funded.
That's bonkers.
Yeah. And it's part of the reason why they were able to make Baldur's Gate 3 in the way that they were, is that they have uh, a 20-year history of success and financial backing to dedicate the time in early access that Baldur's Gate 3 had to make it the game that it was.
I mean, amen. If that's what it takes, that's
Yeah.
what it takes.
Yeah. It's a luxury that basically no other independent studio has, other than like, previously Bethesda would have been in like that same tier, but now they sold to Microsoft as part of their partnership.
Speaking of Bethesda,
Mm.
I've finally fucking done it. I've joined the rest of the
Yeah.
world and started Skyrim.
Yeah. How you finding it?
It's annoying sometimes because
Yeah.
the fucking memes that I've seen all these years, I never knew where they were coming from, but now I see them all.
Yeah.
And it's aged. It's aged so much, but it's
It
like still
has.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking around doing fuck all, and I found like one of those woolly mammoth motherfuckers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, let's go see what woolly mammoth is all about. I should point out I paused my fucking playthrough of Octopath Traveler 2,
Yeah.
probably one of the most beautiful games I've seen ever. And I go up to this woolly mammoth, like with still this Octopath vibe still fleshing through my head. And I look down at its legs because I was going to like pan my camera up to get like a good grasp of the size.
Hmm.
And I can count the polygons on his fucking foot.
Yeah. Old game being played in not ideal conditions will do that.
It's still fun. Like I
It
think
is. It's a very good game.
I'm
That's the thing
impressed.
that people
Yeah.
people are very critical with every Bethesda release that oh, it's the same Bethesda formula. Rah, rah, rah. It's the same thing. They never change anything. It's all the exact same. It's like that's true, but people like that. It's the same formula because it still works.
I was
You know,
surprised by how fast
RPGs haven't changed that much in the last 30 years.
I was
What were you?
surprised very much
Yeah.
by like how fast it was able to grip me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like it's all Viking shit in Skyrim. And I
Mhm.
was just like sitting there thinking like, oh, Vikings aren't that interesting. I'm sure I'll probably eventually latch on to. No, I got hooked almost fucking immediately.
Mhm.
My family is a little part Swedish. I think like my great grandmother on one of my dad's sides was straight from Sweden, something like that. So my dad's always really liked fucking Viking shit. So like the whole time I'm playing this, I'm just remembering all the Viking shit my dad references over the years. What are your thoughts on Skyrim, Mr. Kyril?
I think, for me, Bethesda games in general, it's the same thing with the only exception being New Vegas because it's made by Obsidian, right?
Yeah.
They all are very similar in a good way, in a way that like you have an understanding when you go into it, where if you've played one, you understand how to navigate the world and how to interact with stuff. And that lends them to having introductions that can sort of like pique your interest, but not like force you to fully commit until you get to like the 100-hour mark and you start to really engage with all of the mechanics that they have. And I think that's where the Bethesda games are really good, is that once you get deep into them, you can see how they designed all of the systems to work together and interact with each other and interact with the story parts and the quest systems. And that's when they really shine compared to something, like Baldur's Gate 3, right? That has those same systems from the start, but it has the narratives that are pushing you much more so than, the game systems are.
I will
And I
say
think it's really cool to see that different perspective of like game design being the focus.
I am severely overwhelmed by Skyrim at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Like it's cool and I don't know how much of it I'm going to get out of it, but it's such a fucking wild ride to like go from straightforward like JRPG throwback Octopath
Mm-hmm.
to here's a world in fucking Skyrim. You know, we're kind of already in 2024. What was your game of 2023, Kyril?
For me, I do. It is Starfield.
Oh, fair enough.
Um, but I didn't play a ton of games in 2023, so it's a bit of a limited pool.
Fair enough. Mine was Tears of the Kingdom. Thank you for asking.
Mm.
That wasn't really a hard guess,
What
though.
was yours? Yeah,
Yeah.
seems obvious. I will say though, 2023 was absolutely stacked. I think it's kind of cool how you could ask like 10 people that question and get 10 different answers, and all of them would be like, "Yeah, I can see where that would come from."
Of course. Oh my god. You know what someone just sent me?
What's that?
They have D20 die for cats now.
How?
They're just like little plushies that the cat can play with.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Here, I'll send
It's
you the
like
link.
it's like, wait, how does a cat have like a critical failure? What's going on? Hmm. All right, let's see this.
For all of you who don't know, I'm getting a cat tomorrow, and I'm kind of slowly getting into cat culture at the moment.
I always love uh, looking at these Amazon listings, like this one in particular. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure not all of these pictures are composited.
Oh, totally. 1,000,000%.
I love like just playing that game where it's like, are these pictures real or not? And this one, almost certainly they're not.
No, that cat's got
And
something
it's a
else in his
fun game.
paws.
The last one in particular calls into question everything else in it because it's like, wait a minute, are these like 2 inches across or are they like 6 inches?
I've told you about Reverb, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So for those of you uninitiated, Reverb's like a Amazon, not Amazon partake, but like eBay for musicians.
Yeah.
There's a really bad scamming community that just started forming on there.
Hmm.
So like there's this case where people are buying instruments, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like the seller will only do PayPal, which
Yep.
red flag immediately.
Huge red flag.
Yeah. And apparently what they'll do is they'll do the payment through PayPal, and they'll just take like a magazine or something and mail
Yep.
it to like your an address in your town. And then
Not even to you.
not even to you. Just so
Wow.
USPS says it was delivered in your mailbox or something like that.
Oh, so you don't know.
Correct.
Wow.
So USPS says they delivered it, and you have to assume someone may have just ran off with your fucking package. And by the time you're like trying to figure this all out, there's a good chance you're gonna run out of like the here's how many days you have to get a refund kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that's scummy.
Isn't it scummy? I applaud the
Yeah.
creativity, and it's incredibly fucked up. But there's also a really bad drop shipping community on Reverb right now
Mm.
as well.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that it's like, it's a classic scam of, marketplaces like that. It's like if anybody ever asks you to pay in a way that the platform itself doesn't have integrated,
Yeah.
bad sign.
1,000,000%.
Would you like to talk some movies?
I would love to talk some movies. I saw a movie this week.
Did you? Is
Um,
it a new release or
no, but it's a notable
okay?
movie. Yeah.
Let's go and do that first because I've got two movies that are like new releases this week, and neither of them are particularly exciting. So what you got?
I watched The Lion King 2019.
No.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
I had a morbid curiosity of seeing John Oliver as Zazu.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
And okay,
How was it? I imagine it's not like that bad. It's just like it's got like the uncanniness of everything, and it's like that's the big thing for me with all of the live action remakes, right?
yeah,
Is that you can obviously make a good live action remake. We've started to see that now, like with One Piece, right?
yeah,
Prime example of it. You can make a live action remake of something that was animated and have it be good. But most of them aren't because they're not doing something enough to differentiate themselves. And that was the big thing with me with all these Disney ones, is that with them being shot for shot practically of the original, it's like, why would I not just watch the original? What are you doing to add to this
you know,
other than make a ton of money?
that's kind of how I felt the whole time. It
Yeah.
really felt like they had the script of the original buried away somewhere, and they just pulled that out and it's like, okay, done with writing it. Let's go fucking shoot this thing.
Yeah.
Um, I made a rule about this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never look any of the characters in the eyes.
Okay.
This movie becomes existential horror if you look the characters in the fucking eyes. Um, I mean, have you seen The Lion King?
Oh, but yeah, of course. The original?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Plenty of times.
Okay, imagine that, but with like three colors, and
Uh-huh.
then imagine Simba as a marketable plush. There's, I realized something, right? The magic of a Disney movie, and I hate using that word fucking magic because it's what they want, but like the secret sauce
Yeah.
is that they write a lot of their characters for the actor that they've got signed on for them. Like Robin Williams as the genie, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. And the reason why these fucking movies don't go up to snuff is because you got that interpretation of like the original character with the original actor against a whole new entity.
Yeah.
And either they try to do something generic because they can't replicate it. They try to replicate it, and it's always one of those two options, one of that binary, and nothing of worth comes out of either one. And I wish they would just man up and just write something that would fit the actor or actress in that fucking scene. Beyonce's in this movie. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, she plays Nala. Did
I don't know. That's not too surprising, I guess.
she also gets a song because she's fucking Beyonce.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if you're gonna get Beyonce, you better.
Now, get this right.
Mm.
She doesn't actually sing in the movie. It's a scene where like Simba's running to the Pride Lands to go reclaim his kingdom, a la Hamlet.
Sure.
And then it's just like running, 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 and all you hear is like Beyonce belting out her fucking soul on top of everything. And it's so weird to hear Nala belting out like that. My thoughts on this movie are so scattered because, quite frankly, there's very little cohesion in this film.
Mm. I mean, isn't it like basically just shot for shot of the original? With
Slower
like, I
shot for
guess,
shot.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they didn't change the plot any.
not really. No.
Yeah.
Scar has like no charm. Mufasa is just like tired the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's got an arguably worse score because Hans Zimmer did it.
It's kind of a weird choice.
I don't like Hans Zimmer. Have I told you that?
I don't. Maybe. I don't know. I like Hans Zimmer, but it's got to be like the time and place, right?
Yeah,
Like Hans Zimmer, Interstellar. Hell yeah. Hans Zimmer, The Lion King. What are you doing?
I don't know. I just do not know. Wait, Hans Zimmer did the original Lion King too, apparently.
Weird. So why didn't they just keep the same?
That's the problem with it too. The score is actually worse, and it's the same guy.
Yeah, that's bad.
That makes no sense to me. It's like got this weird problem where the score doesn't stick to the scenes. And I think
Yeah.
it's because we're all familiar with the scores of The Lion King.
I wonder if they tried to just keep the scores the same and they realized, oh, this doesn't work because the cadences have changed and the pacing has changed to match the animation and we're adding
Yeah.
these new songs and stuff. So they just like tried to tweak the originals, like stretch them out or add filler into them, and it just doesn't work.
That's actually a probably good analysis. You haven't even seen the fucking film. um yeah, it's like a weaker version of just The Lion King. Because like The Lion King moves very fast, the original. This is
Yeah.
very much trying to be a slower paced movie so you get the full 2 hours and 8 minutes to make you feel like you justified your ticket price. Um
How long is The Lion King? What's its runtime?
the original
'Cause
Lion King?
It wasn't that long. I didn't think. Yeah, hour 28. Interesting.
Yeah, this adds like 40 minutes.
That's a lot to add.
And there's no story detail added.
Huh. I wonder if they did the same for the Beauty and the Beast.
Let's find out.
The original one is hour 24.
Yeah, it's a shorter one. Oh my god, they
Beauty and the
did.
Beast 2017. Oh, why did I do that? Beauty and the Beast 2017. Runtime 2 hours 19.
Yeah, 50 fucking minutes.
Holy shit. Same thing with The Little Mermaid, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And the original was an hour 23. Oh, no wonder these suck. You took an hour and a half story that was paced excellently, and you put 40 minutes of filler.
It really is like that. It's so hard to find the filler there because like it's very empty. So it's like you can't say like, oh, that's the exact filler right there. It's more, I don't know how they do it. Like they must say their lines slower. You know, it's the most fucked up part about this whole movie.
What's that?
I said nice things about it several times.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one or two really good shots, and then it goes to ugliness,
Yeah.
and then I'm complimenting the whole movie pretty much sporadically throughout the film because like every once in a while there's like a broken clock hits twice a day, you know, kind of logic. Film cuts to the ending, and it's fucking directed by Jon Favreau.
Yep.
That blew my
Nice.
mind. I am of the opinion Jon Favreau is like one of the most underrated directors, but I'm not a fan that he decided to do this.
I think the thing that I hate the most about these, right,
Yo.
is that they work. That's the most frustrating part for me.
Yeah.
Like The Lion King is the ninth highest grossing movie of all time. Beauty and the Beast is 22. Like
Disney adults, man.
Beauty and the Beast made more money than The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
You're goddamn right.
That's just fucked up. It's wild. It's wrong, you know? It's just not correct.
It gets me like morbidly curious about like watching the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Little Mermaid one because it came out and I didn't hear about how awful it was. So that lends me to think that it's probably just like kind of boring, but actually fine. Especially given that the person who played the lead in it is now playing the lead in the Color Purple uh, stage film adaptation thing.
Do you not know about Scuttlebutt?
No, I do,
Okay.
but like there's like specific criticisms, but as a whole, right, it didn't sound like it was something that was fundamentally flawed
Fair enough.
in the way that like the Beauty and the Beast was, right, where you hire someone on because of their talent and then you auto tune them away, that kind of thing. Or the Lion King, where it's soulless.
They don't even do the Mufasa in the cloud scene, by the way.
Really?
No, it's Simba yelling at just a random cloud. It's not Mufasa, it's just a cloud with Mufasa's voice on it.
Why?
I consider that a fucking insult.
It's just a failure.
Remember who you are. I don't think he even says that in the movie, too. It's weird because like they're trying not to be the original by cutting out a couple of the more iconic lines to say something different,
Mm-hmm.
and then they replace them with nothing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. So what's the other ones?
So two major releases this week is the Mean Girl remake, or Mean Girls remake, excuse me, by Tina Fey, I think is the branding on it. So
Okay.
Tina Fey is like involved in it in some level of making it happen. Screenwriter, producer. There we go. And apparently it's fine.
Hell
Who would have
yeah.
guessed? Preserving the essence of the original while adding a few new wrinkles, not to mention musical numbers, Mean Girls is a sweet, if slight, update with an outstanding cast. And reviews are positive, but not overwhelmingly so.
I remember there's like a YouTube video or something, not like a YouTube video, a Twitter
Mm-hmm.
post I've seen go around where people are watching that movie and they discover it's a musical and they groan.
Yeah. Some of the critical reviews of it are talking about the music specifically.
Really.
One of the most critical says remove the musical elements in the 2024 version directed by newcomers Samantha Jane and Arturo Perez Jr. resembles an amateurish imitation of the 2004 original. Add in the mostly awful songs, and it becomes an in-your-face assault on the senses. Uh, Another one has a solid high school comedy keeps stopping dead for a series of what amounts to so-so MTV videos.
I
But people still like the core concepts of it
huh.
and are overwhelmingly positive on, it follows the same beats as the original, right? And you can be critical of the like value, I guess you could say, of those, but people still seem to overwhelmingly like them. Like the bullying stuff, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the original Mean Girls?
It's fine.
Yeah.
A bit overrated, but I get why it became as popular as it did. But it's fine. An early release is The Beekeeper.
Oh no, that's out.
It is out. Uh,
Oh.
Rotten Tomatoes critic consensus: cheerfully undemanding and enjoyably retrograde, The Beekeeper proves that when it comes to dispensing action thriller justice, Statham hasn't lost his sting. I don't know who wrote that, but that's very good. Because, Sting, bees.
Yeah.
Audience score is overwhelmingly positive, 93%. Which leads me to think that it's kind of like, what do they, how do they put it? Uh, undemanding and retrograde. Assuming you take those as positives and not negatives, you can definitely see how this is a bit of a mindless action type of thing.
I was going to say you're saying it's creating a lot of buzz with audience.
Nah.
Oh.
Wait. One of the top critics that has their entire review on Rotten Tomatoes says a sad disappointment for bee enthusiasts. And I'm curious, is this like just being pithy about like, oh, it's not actually about beekeepers, or do they like genuinely want like a movie about beekeepers and this isn't delivering?
I think they wanted like an action movie where it's a guy who actually has like bees up his sleeve and he just like shoots them out like Spider-Man whipping.
Oh my god, they're like not being
Ah.
Uh, after taking care of a hornet problem on her property, Clay, played by Statham, earnestly mumbles in his 75% British, 25% American accent, "I just want to thank you for putting up with me and all my bees." This exchange gave me a false hope that Ayer's action revenge yarn would focus quite heavily on literal bees. Perhaps Clay, a beekeeper, can harness their power against his enemies. But unfortunately, most of the apian, I guess this would be bee, content in The Beekeeper is purely symbolic. What a missed opportunity. Like, they wanted it to be a superhero movie, apparently,
I
and
was
they're
about to
disappointed
say
that it wasn't.
people complain about fucking Marvel movies and then they make criticisms like this.
Yeah.
Y'all aren't superhero fatigued. Y'all are just sick of seeing shit.
The Beekeeper, which is both a BEE movie and a B movie, just the letter B, falls in the same category as many other Statham versus everyone action fillers. Not very good, yet enjoyable enough.
I love the idea that like he brings out like his trench coat, whatnot. He's like, I'm a beekeeper. Opens it. They cut the shot so Jerry Seinfeld comes out, just dressed as a bee.
Yeah. Also has Jeremy Irons in it. That's kind of wild.
Jeremy
Maybe
Irons
all.
is weird.
Yeah. Josh Hutcherson, Mini
Weird.
Driver. This is probably the least flattering picture of Mini Driver I've ever seen. Who let them do this to you?
That's weird. That's like
That's
your
horrible.
that's your aunt selling like Tupperware.
Yeah, please, somebody at Rotten Tomatoes, if you hear this, put up a better picture. That's just like mean.
Now, if you know somebody at Rotten Tomatoes, one get us like Rotten Tomato like certified critic because we'll fuck up that those meters the
Yeah.
good way, and then tell them about that profile picture.
Yeah, yeah. Priorities. So I'm curious here. Oh, that's very loud. I'm trying to pull up the AGDQ schedule here real quick before we start wrapping up because that's about all I have.
I do have one thing that I was just reminded of as going through our
Yeah.
queues. The tunnel.
Oh my god, the tunnel.
The tunnel.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the tunnel.
I forgot. I wanted to go ahead of time and do like us in the tunnel as like the thumbnail for this video, but I was so
Mm-hmm.
busy and I forgot about the fucking tunnel.
Um.
There's a
So
tunnel.
yes, there's what is it? Hasidic? Is that the right?
Hasidic? I believe so, and if not, I apologize profusely.
Yes, Hasidic Judaism.
Yes.
A group of Hasidic Jews in New York built a tunnel from their synagogue to underground locations in the city, and they, did it illegally. And it's just kind of weird. And there's bizarre videos of them pulling these Hasidic Jews out of these like handmade tunnels. Uh, and yeah, it's very strange. And
This
there's the great one that you first sent me of the person who was hearing Yiddish under their floor. Amazing.
Oh yeah. So the hard part about this, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard to talk about these secret tunnels without coming off as some crackpot anti-Semitic
Right.
conspiracy theorist.
So
But
here, I have the Associated Press article here come up because like I'm just gonna read some of this verbatim, right? Because it
yo,
sounds too stupid. Headline: A secret tunnel in a New York City synagogue leads to a brawl between police and worshippers. A historic Brooklyn synagogue that serves as the center of an influential Hasidic Jewish movement was trashed this week during an unusual community dispute that began with the discovery of a secret underground tunnel and ended in a brawl between worshippers and police. The conflict erupted in the global headquarters of the Chabad Lubavitch movement in Crown Heights, a deeply revered Jewish site that each year receives thousands of visitors, including international students and religious leaders. Its Gothic revival facade, immediately recognizable to adherents of the Chabad movement, has inspired dozens of replicas across the world. But on Tuesday, the synagogue remained closed off by police barricades as New York City building safety agents inspected whether a tunnel dug without official permission may have caused structural damage to the famed property. Officials and locals said young men in the community recently built the passage to the sanctuary in secret when the group's leaders tried to seal it off Monday. They staged a protest that turned violent as police moved in to make arrests. The exact purpose and provenance of the tunnel that incited the altercation remained the subject of debate. The passageway is believed to have started in the basement of an empty apartment building behind the headquarters, snaking under a series of offices and lecture halls before eventually connecting to the synagogue, according to Modi Seligson, a spokesperson for Shabbat. He characterized its construction as a rogue act of vandalism committed by a group of misguided young men, condemning the quote extremists who broke through the wall to the synagogue, vandalizing the sanctuary in an effort to preserve their unauthorized access.
holy
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah,
I'm impressed.
it's wild. There was some interesting discussion that I saw about it. How we may never actually fully know what happened here because how this specific community is so close knit and believes in sort of like handling their problems themselves, you know?
I'm kind of okay with that because
I in this specific case, maybe, but the problem is that they extend that attitude towards other much more serious problems.
yeah, I'm sorry. I do mean that in like the this moment kind of situation. Yeah.
Yes.
Cuz I don't know why one would need to build a secret tunnel.
Yeah. It sounds like the people who built it just wanted to have constant unauthorized access to the area of worship that they could access from their apartment
It
or
literally
like
just sounds like a
otherwise access
clubhouse.
without like going in the front door. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. Very weird.
Yeah. And I'm kind of just more impressed than anything. They were able to make a fucking
Yeah.
secret tunnel
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
NYC.
they dug an actual tunnel
Yeah.
under New York. I do wonder because New York, of course, is built layers and layers and layers with subways and sewage and all that kind of stuff. I wonder how much they had to build as much as like just knock down a few walls.
I feel like if this is just a small splinter group of like
Mm,
an already small community, a
yeah,
lot of it had to already be kind of done.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Did you see that video of like the Jewish gentleman like jumping out of like the storm grade?
Yes, I did.
That's wild to me.
It's very it's something, all right.
Dude, it was such a wild day on Twitter when this story broke because like
Mm.
Twitter's already a shit show right now.
Oh yeah.
So you have these already shitty people who kind of have some shitty opinions kind of feeling validated even though it
Hmm.
really doesn't validate anything,
Yeah.
and they're just going like it was like Twitter was consumed by the mass consciousness of Alex Jones for a day. That being said, the Two Schmoe tunnel is already in progress.
Yeah. It's done. You'll
Yeah.
find out about it soon.
No, Kyle, they're not supposed to ever find out about it.
Oh no, they will. They don't have a choice.
Damn. The tunnel's out there. You just gotta find it.
Yeah.
This is my
Launching our
One
new
Piece.
ARPG.
Oh my god.
Find the tunnel. Did you hear about the Magic the Gathering thing that they're doing for that? That's like they've acknowledged that it exists, but are being very coy with it.
No, please go on.
They're doing something with the upcoming Murders at Markov Manor release that have said that they're putting hints and clues into promotional videos and other things that will point to a puzzle somewhere in the real world to find something.
Is
And
it
they
in a
haven't
secret tunnel?
elaborated. They have not elaborated further. It's just kind of weird because it's like, okay, what are you finding? What's it going to be? Who knows? It could be anything.
No, that's why those kids built the secret tunnel, man.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They're trying to find it.
This is the fucking Magic community's One Piece.
There was a cool one in the Destiny community that was similar, where they had an in-game event that ended up after like many steps of like hours and hours in game and then hours out of game decoding things, resulted in a series of coordinates that directed players to a place outside of New York where they've found like a one-to-one uh, model of one of the like spear weapons in the game, and they're able to keep it.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, yeah. It was neat.
I think Jack White did something like that once.
Mm-hmm. Believe it. It's cool. I'm glad that stuff like that's becoming more common because it's fun. And it's like, even if you don't participate in it, it's still fun to watch people do it.
Yeah.
It's like that hybrid of like IRL, Twitch, and like puzzle solving in the games. It's neat.
It reminds me of those internet historian videos with the like Shia LaBeouf, he will not divide us kind of
Mm.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are fun, if not just for trolling to Shia LaBeouf.
Yep. Excuse me.
Anything else for the show?
I was gonna run through some of the AGDQ schedule,
Oh,
some of the
yes.
highlights, because there's some fun stuff. They usually have a good spread, and this is no exception.
Let's do it.
So just go day by day, because there's a whole week of it, of course. Today, right now, they're playing SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that even came out.
But some notable stuff, right? Because they have like there's the usual Donkey Kong Country, Super Monkey Ball. Who cares about that? They're doing Tails Adventure on the Game Gear, which is kind of wild. I'm gonna try to skip over a lot of it, but there's some funky stuff like that. The Typing of the Dead. I don't know how you speedrun the Typing of the Dead, but it'll be interesting to find out.
You just got to be a really fast typer, my dude.
Yeah, I guess. Who's the other ones here? Lego Bionicle Quest for the Toa, the GBA version.
I love it when they just pull out these. Where the fuck did you even find this?
Yeah. They have a bonus stream of Pokemon Diamond Pearl for the DS. That's cool. Bayonetta on PC. Arkanoid for the NES. They have like a NES block, which is kind of cool. So they have it starts off with Bad Dudes, then Arkanoid Gimmick Panic Restaurant, and jumps a little bit. Then they're doing the original The Legend of Zelda for NES, which is going to be an any percent glitchless run. So that's cool.
Old school.
Um, trying to see like it's hard to see like if there's like an awful block because there's some of these games in here that I would have assumed would have been in the awful block that aren't. Uh, they have the PC version of Dino Break.
What's the fuck a Dino Break?
I would recommend the video game Donkey video on it.
Oh no.
It doesn't look particularly good, but I bet it'll be entertaining. Hopefully, they have a pretty short estimate for it, so maybe they won't. But the dialogue in it is particularly bad, so I'd be hope they show some of that. They're doing a Mario Kart Wii 32 tracks skip run, an Octopath Traveler 2 run that'll be in an hour and 30 minutes somehow. What else we got? Starting to get into this. Oh, Bluey the video game. A full item randomizer co-op Pokemon Crystal run, and Tazbot Super Metroid. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, maybe this is no. Apparently, they have a copy of Sneak King, the Burger King Xbox game that they'll be doing. Uh, Skull Island: Rise of Kong, the recent one that was horrible. So yeah, stacked lineup should be good. Anything in particular that you are looking forward to in the AJDQ? Oh, anyways, just keep going through here. The Last of Us Remastered, doing the PS5 version, any percent.
Okay.
That'll be kind of interesting because like I'm not aware of any particular major glitches that the game has, but I'd be interested to see what they do, or if it's just like highly optimized.
Which is more impressive to you? A really good glitchy run or a highly optimized run?
I think it's always going to be a balance. One of my favorite speedruns is the Titanfall 2 speedrun
Okay.
because it is both highly optimized, like constant bee hopping and movement tech, with two or three major glitches that are both visually impressive and also save huge amounts of time.
Mm.
And I think the visually impressive part is a big part of it, right? If you're just playing like uh Zelda and you have a glitch, right, that just teleports you to Ganon and it just like boop, you're there. That's boring. But if you have a glitch that throws you across the map to Ganon, that's cool.
I do get what you mean by that. I will say, one of the weirdest glitches I've ever seen, and it's
Mm-hmm.
visually interesting, is one of the Tears of the Kingdom glitches where they get out of the wall, so you can kind of
Mm.
like see them use like a vehicle they make to
Yeah.
go through the wall of like the world all the way down to like the core where Ganon is.
Mm-hmm. I'm all right with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't like make the entire rest of the run feel pointless. That's
Mm.
the big thing for me. Because there's some games I've seen runs of that are just so broken that it's just like a glitch showcase rather than a speed run at that point. And it's like, yeah, it technically works, but it's just kind of boring. Friday's kind of stacked, which I guess makes sense. You know, it's Friday; they want to have the high density of stuff. Gravity Rush Remastered, Undertale, Original Dark Souls, Borderland 2. Apparently, they've already got a Super Mario Bros. Wonder run set up, which is pretty cool. Um, and then they're going through the 2023 Resident Evil 4. Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to catch some of the replays of it. Oh, they're doing an Elden Ring versus Sekiro, any percent unrestricted versus any percent. That'll be interesting. I don't know how they're going to do that exactly, but that sounds fun. And then rounding out the schedule, Tears of the Kingdom Enter Percent, Baldur's Gate 3 All Acts, and Final Fantasy V Pixel Remaster, any percent. That was like 2.5 hours. That's a long one. I'll
I
say also for an event like this, there's definitely a fine line that you have to go between where it can't be too long or else it gets kind of boring. Like they
yeah.
have one in here that's for Majora's Max that is no major glitches that's got a 5 hour estimate. And that's probably very cool, but I don't want to watch 5 hours of that. You know, that's not for me.
I feel like speed running a JRPG is such a bad idea
Yeah.
because like they're already long ass games and there's not really a great way to
Mhm.
optimize them past like
Yeah.
the default strats.
Yep. I'll give an exception to that though for one of the ones that I missed before. They're doing a Super Mario Sunshine All Shines run that's
Ooh,
like 3 hours, but you know because they're having to get everything that it sort of forces it to pace out the chaos of it. Yeah, I think I've found the awful block here, and there's some good ones. It'll be good to see. As is tradition, it's like in the middle of the night Thursday, or sorry, in the middle of the night Wednesday, going into Thursday morning. Yeah, good stuff. Right now, through Humble Bundle, they have an AGDQ Awesome Games bundle that features Bayonetta, Borderland 2 Game of the Year Edition, and Celeste for $10. So that's
nice.
neat.
Celeste is one of those
Humble
games
Bundle is
I
awesome.
always enjoy a speed run of. Oh, sorry.
Yes, I agree. Because there's like some glitches, right?
Yeah,
But not particularly big ones. It's almost all just really tight platforming, and it's super satisfying to watch.
really. There's like a skill level of
Yeah,
Celeste. That
it's
game will
good.
kill you a million times, but you will thank it by the end.
Hmm. That's one of the ones where the glitches aren't like, oh, I'm gonna phase through this wall and skip the whole level. It's like if I approach the spikes at this specific angle, they won't kill me, and I can get a free jump. That kind of stuff's awesome. Big respect to the people who do speedrunning for that because it is wild. But I think that's all I got.
Okay then. Well, I'm Neve Mr. Ryan. I'm going to start my Celeste speed run,
And I'm Kyril, and I'm gonna be Last of Us speed run, I guess.
and
Big shoots, pew pew.
we will all see you in the secret tunnel.